33 minutes after the hour, Michael Patrick Shiels, radio stations across the state of Michigan. You can go to Munn Ice Arena if you want Saturday night at about 9 o'clock. They're going to have a watch party, and the game starts at 9:37 p.m., pretty late for basketball, but be festive night to be on campus, that's for sure, as the Michigan State Spartans attempt to advance to the championship game in the NCAA Final Four, anchored by Jim Nantz on CBS. Okay, this is an interesting topic, and if you own a business or you work in a business or you're a resident in Michigan, maybe you know that the minimum wage went up to $9.45 an hour last week. That's the same day that a new law requiring some employers to offer paid sick leave also took effect. And you might say, well, that's pretty good for the worker. But both of those laws were passed during the lame duck session, and questions about whether the lawmakers followed the Michigan Constitution have been swirling. Why? Because it was done in lame duck, and the provisions weakened the bills that could have been approved through ballot proposal. Governor Rick Snyder said the way they were written, had they gone to a ballot proposal in the election, would have been a roadblock to Michigan's economic recovery. Who's right? Micah Babcock, Director of Government Operations at the Small Business Association of Michigan, is on our AT&T line. Thanks for being available.
Hey, Michael Patrick. Thanks for having me.
So there were signatures collected to put the minimum wage up. In fact, as I understand it, it would have been $12 an hour by 2022. That won't happen till 2030 now because of the change. And instead of 40 hours, they get 40 hours of sick leave instead of 72 hours. So basically, the legislature grabbed those proposals before we could vote on them and decided we got to temper them a little bit, or taper them if you prefer, and sort of weaken them. Is that an unfair description?
Yeah, so I think the legislature kind of looked over the proposals and saw that there was unintended consequences in the original proposals that the drafters didn't really realize with the way Michigan's climate is set up with the business community. So essentially what happened is the group that dropped us off in our state has been going around other states around the country and essentially just continuously drop proposals with a funding group out of Washington, D.C. called the 1630 Fund. So a lot of the money that came in, over 90% of the money that came in to support this proposal in Michigan was from Washington, D.C. dark money fund.
Having said that, there were Michigan citizens who signed in front of grocery stores or libraries or wherever the signatures were collected to approve, and they had enough signatures to get it to the ballot where we as citizens would have to decide if we thought it was kosher or not. And in a sense, the legislature is saying they didn't trust us to make the right choice?
I think the legislature is just saying that it's their constitutional duty to, prior to laws going into effect, for them to amend the laws as they see fit. And I think that they saw that this law was going to be extremely burdensome to the business community, and I think that they saw that this was going to bring the economy of Michigan backward rather than forward. And I think that they did a great proactive step in amending these laws so it's workable both for the employee as well as the employer. Now,
the question is whether it was constitutional.
Yeah, and I definitely think that it is constitutional. And we went, and our lawyer team went in-depth research on this, and we're very confident that both the public acts were passed in accordance with the legislature's authority and with the Constitution and in accordance with the Constitution there. And honestly, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court has a great opportunity now to just remove uncertainty in the business community and continue to have this, this great jobs climate that we have right now.
The Attorney General, the new Attorney General, Dana Nessel, likes political fights, it seems, though. Is she going to dig in her heels on this one? Does she have any leverage?
So she actually came out a couple weeks ago and had a press release stating that she was going to follow what other attorney generals did in the past and not opine on an issue that's before the court. So since it's before the Supreme Court now, and they came out saying that they're going to hear it, the Attorney General, I do not believe, will be issuing an opinion on this in the meantime, which is great for small businesses and business within Michigan because now they can have a little bit of certainty at least up until the July 17th hearing date.
So that the matter that's before the Supreme Court that we're talking about now could be, it's really not just particularly sick time and minimum wage. It's about the way the process works, no matter what the ballot proposal is.
Correct. It's specifically on whether the legislature can adopt citizens initiated petition and then amend that same petition within the same exact legislative session. There's nothing within the Constitution that says it one way or the other. Most of the disagreements have been around prior Attorney General opinions from both Attorney General Kelly as well as the one issued last year from Attorney General Bill Schuette.
And I guess those decisions fell with the side of the legislature, right?
Correct. And actually, Kelly had two different opinions, both contradicting each other. So the most recent one being the Bill Schuette opinion, which is the one that's obviously standing right now.
So if you're a citizen and you think, should you feel usurped?
I don't believe so. I think at the end of the day, they're going to have these benefits now provided to them, and an overwhelming majority of small businesses already provide benefits like this. It honestly just gave business owners flexibility. And at the end of the day, I mean, the way the original proposal was written, I don't think it would be great for all employees. I mean, it takes away, like I said, the flexibility of the business owner, where it's a rigid system where you have to follow this system. It has to be an accrual process. And they're only allowed to use it for paid sick time. They're not allowed to use that for vacation days, which right now I think that if the original unamended law went into effect, that a lot of business owners would be cutting your vacation days and saying, hey, this is just for sick time now.
Mm-hmm. Do a lot of businesses pay minimum wage?
I'm not sure. I don't think a ton of businesses pay minimum wage. I think that
they pay more than that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
$9.45 per hour, and that will eventually, by 2030, it'll get up to about $12.05.
Correct. Yep. And then remember now that with this new amendment that it's not, it's no longer adjusted with CPI as well.
And then the sick leave went from 72 hours down to 40, and most companies, I don't know. I mean, anecdotally, if you're sick, you're sick. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of them would require possibly that you call in beforehand. In the original unamended version, that's not even something that's required. You know, you can take off sick time 5 to 10 minute increments. You could show up late one day and say, hey,
really?
my friend who feels like a brother to me, because it specifically says under affinity of blood, or just affinity in the legislation, that they could just take off, within minute increments. They don't need to have a doctor's note under the original unamended proposal. There was a lot of unintended, like I said, I really do believe there was unintended consequences that were within the original proposal that the drafters just didn't vet out thoroughly, which then got vetted out through this traditional legislative process that the legislature has within their constitutional duty to enact.
Thank you very much, Micah Babcock, Director of Government Operations at the Small Business Association of Michigan. I got Trump news for you about various feuds, including one with the former vice president. That's coming next through the AT&T microphones with Michael Patrick Shiels on a Firekeepers Casino Friday.
It's time to celebrate at Firekeepers. Time to raise your game with 70 live table games and 2,900 action-packed slots. Time to satisfy your cravings at award-winning restaurants and raise the curtain on superstar entertainment. Then stay the night in a AAA 4-diamond room or suite and keep the celebration going. Time to get your Vegas on at Firekeepers Casino Hotel.
Did you know that each day more than 1,000 people are treated in emergency rooms across the country for misusing prescription opioids? Or that nationally, Michigan ranks 10th for the highest rate of prescribing opioids, 18th for most overuse deaths. Although pain management medications can be important in their proper context, their misuse has led to a full-blown epidemic in our country. It's affecting so many communities and people we know and care about. Join Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan in the fight against prescription drug and opioid misuse. There are simple things you and your loved ones can do to help. For example, Blue Cross recommends you let your doctor know of all the prescriptions you're taking and that you take medications only according to the prescription guidelines. Also, never give anyone else your prescriptions and make sure your expired or leftover medications don't get into the wrong hands by getting rid of them on National Prescription Drug Take Back Day. It's coming up on Saturday, April 27th. To find a designated collection site near you and to learn more about how you and your loved ones can prevent and get support for opioid-related issues, go to mibluesperspectives.com/opioids101. Michael Patrick Shiels here. My pal Jim Baker runs corporate office interiors, and COI will give your office or commercial space a fresh new look using remanufactured workstations.
This is Jim Baker, owner of Corporate Office Interiors, with offices in Lansing, Detroit, and servicing the entire state of Michigan. We are committed to providing you with exceptional results on your next office project. On time, on budget, every time. Contact us at corporateofficeinteriors.net and let us help you.